Welcome to my platform. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on your location or anytime you are meeting this video on YouTube. And if you like what I do here, please, after watching, subscribe, put on your notification bell, set it to all notifications so that you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. In this platform, we react to all forms of video. What we do before putting the video, analyze it, and we sit down there to watch it together with you. Then later we'll come to the comment section to talk about it. Of course, everybody is entitled to his or her opinion, but let us always do it constructively in the comment section. Like you can see, this is my t-shirt, this is my merchandise. If you like this,
Jumping bell is a volitional act. It's a voluntary act. It carries a certain element of intention on your part, premeditation, to evade the long arms of the law. Okay? You don't jump bail without knowing that you jump bail. There is a knowingness, a voluntariness. What happened in September 2017 is what should be open to question. Man ran for his life. This was a man that was free of bond, relaxing at his house. Then all of a sudden, on or about 10 September 2017, a detachment of Nigerian security forces led by the army went to his residence and commenced military assault thereon. 28 people were killed. Dozens were wounded. Several were abducted and taken away to unknown locations. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was lucky to escape with injuries. That's what happened. And from that very date, the entire locale of the Federal Republic of Nigeria became too dangerous for him to stay. It wasn't just the locale of his premises. The army declared him wanted, dead or alive, declared him a terrorist. And the rules of engagement of Nigerian army when it comes to making contact with a terrorist is to kill, to shoot to kill, not shoot to maim, not shoot to wound, not to arrest, but to shoot to kill. So Nnamdi Kanu's life was in danger throughout the territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What led to that was an involuntary act on his part. He never premeditated. He was waiting for his next court date, the very next month in October. So the very party, the federal government of Nigeria had already had him in court, gained jurisdiction over him, and knew that he was free on bond, went to his house to kill him without court order, without nothing. He wasn't convicted and condemned to death. They didn't go to arrest him. Somebody said, oh, maybe they went there to arrest him. How can you go to arrest somebody and kill 28 people just to arrest one person? Okay, so actually, going by the lethal nature of the attack, the magnitude, the only conclusion that could have been drawn by any reasonable bystander or victim, such as Nnamdi Kanu, was that this was directed at getting him killed. That this was directed at getting him killed. So he made a lucky escape. He didn't jump bail. So even if he jumped bail, if anybody jumps bail and manages to leave the territorial boundaries of that very nation and makes it to another nation, his rights, human rights, don't depart him. If the government of Nigeria encountered Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya, even if Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail, he didn't, but let us assume that he did and made his way to Kenya. If Nigerian government encountered him in Kenya, they were supposed to give him the benefit of extradition, not extraordinary rendition.
Yeah, now
so
you are talking.
Jump bail or not jump bail did not mean that Nnamdi Kanu was bereft of his human rights as a person. Thank you.
Okay. So remember, you still have to lead us to this very important discussion that we have just raised. extraordinary rendition is it's become like a song that everybody knows from your mouth. It's not a song. The issue of Nnamdi Kanu is a terrible thing. We can see that he went through serious human rights, serious abuse of his human rights in Kenya. And we know the word extraordinary rendition from your mouth. Can you shed light to that? How does it affect the life of your client? And what does it mean to justify, in context of Nigerian government as a country that should abide to human rights?
Yes, you see, to break it down and for some of the listeners out there to understand the concept of extraordinary rendition, let us take a private citizen, for instance. If I come and take you by force without due process of law, without authority of law, I have kidnapped you. Or as some people would say, I have abducted you. So this is exactly what Nigerian government did. They went to Kenya and kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So when government goes across national boundaries and forcibly takes a suspect without due process of law, that government or that country has committed extraordinary rendition. It's a direct opposite of extradition. Extradition is a lawful process through which a fugitive suspect found in one nation can be transferred to another nation that has interest in putting him for trial. Every country recognizes extradition as the only process through which you can accomplish the transfer of a convict or a suspect from one nation to the other. Even Germany has the same law. Kenya has it, Nigeria has it. So it's not difficult to understand. It's not rocket science that Nigeria, a member of Committee of Nations, a member of United Nations, a member of African Union, bound by international treaties, obligations, conventions, protocols, should in 2021 cross into Kenya, take Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, put him in a private jet and rendition him to Nigeria without allowing him the benefit of undergoing the due process of extradition as codified under Kenyan law. That is what extradition rendition is, and is inherently a form of torture. So when a nation commits to put the rendition suspect to trial, that's not just a theory. It has already happened in practice in several nations. And the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, Nigeria ratified in 1979 and codified as part of her own domestic laws in 1983, provided at Article 12 that no person, no citizen of Nigeria or citizen of Kenya, no African found in any country in Africa can be expelled from one country to another without due process of law. So that's another way of understanding that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was expelled from Article 12 again of the African Charter, to which Nigeria is a state party, prohibits what happened to him. Even under the Nigerian Constitution illegalized arbitrary arrest, because the government of Nigeria is saying, oh, we arrested Nnamdi Kanu. Okay, fine. Arrest can be illegal. It can be arbitrary. So when you arrest somebody without due process of law, it becomes arbitrary arrest, which is prohibited under Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. There are other international legal regime, like treaties, protocols, and conventions, like the United Nations Convention Against Torture, and other protocols promulgated thereunder. And of course, companion African human rights legislations at the continental level, to which Nigeria is also a state party, that prohibited extraordinary rendition by name. It mentioned extraordinary rendition and said, extraordinary rendition is hereby prohibited. And he went on to say, nobody, no suspect, no convict shall be transferred from one nation to the other without the due process of law called extradition.
Let me ask Mr. Honko, because I think we have a similar case in Europe. I'm saying with regard to that of the Catalonian case, Puigdemont. Sir, could you say something concerning, or let me ask, do you see similarities in that of Nnamdi Kanu and Puigdemont? And what happened to Nnamdi Kanu? Would it have happened to anybody in Europe?
Yes, indeed, there is some similarities to the case of Catalonia and the case of Puigdemont. On 1st of October 2017, there was a referendum in Catalonia. I was witnessing this referendum. I was in Catalonia and observing the situation. And it was only a referendum, and Puigdemont was the then president of Catalonia, and afterwards the whole government of Catalonia were arrested, or they had to flee, and Puigdemont and some others fled to, most of them to Belgium, to Brussels, and in between he was arrested in Germany through Interpol as well, like Mr. Kanu, and the German courts refused to extradite Mr. Puigdemont, and the same did later the Belgian courts. So so far, Puigdemont lives in Belgium, but Spanish states wants to get him, but according to the Belgian authorities, he will be not extradited. So there are some similarities. The problem we have is that we have in the international law, we have two principles, and it's always a question how to deal with the two principles. On the one hand, we have the, as Mr. Barrister said, we have the principle of self-determination. On the other hand, we have the principle of territorial integrity of states, and these are often conflicting interests. And the question is, for a civilized nation, how to deal with this question. We had a situation in Britain where there was the respect for Scottish independence movement. There was a referendum which would have been accepted, but there was no majority for this. So, but this would have been accepted. In Spain, it was called illegal, as it is probably in Nigeria. So that's, but I see as well some similarities. Of course, it's not that violence involved in Spain and Catalonia. It's more, let's say, it's not in this brutality. I've seen how brutal are things at the moment in the region of Biafra and so on. But to understand the situation, I would like to be interested, who is supporting Nigerian government in this? Is it Britain? I'm not sure, because Britain is not does not see IPOP as a terrorist organization. But as far as I understood, there are strong relations between Nigeria and Britain, stronger than that of Germany. Germany is not a central player there. And is there any debate in the British public or in the British Parliament? Do you have contacts to British MPs? Because Britain is, I think it's for your conflict much more important than Germany's. Maybe you can tell me something about this, Mr. Bûrstéd.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Should I?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Parliamentarian uncle, he raised very important question. Yes, diplomatic politics, it teach influence, and not German fear of influence, but German pressure can still be brought to bear in a bi-directional, and I'll tell you why German outrage is justified. In 1984, Nigeria, under the current president, when he was a dictator in 1984, he was a soldier, and he came into power through a bloody military coup. So he was in charge. He was the head of state, a military coup. Now, Nigeria in 1984, under the current president, attempted extraordinary rendition of a certain Nigerian politician named Umaru Biko. I think he's late now. I think the parliamentarian may recall he seems to be a highly read, highly traveled, knowledgeable man. They put the Nigerian agents went to UK, London precisely, captured this man, put him in a crate, and marked the crate diplomatic baggage, took the crate to the airport and attempted loading the crate into a Nigerian Airways plane that had flown in to London for that purpose. They drugged the man, and inside that crate, I think there's an Israeli physician who collaborated with them, who was injecting the man with substances to keep him comatose. So they attempted to load this crate containing this human cargo into the aircraft when a vigilant British intelligence officer at the airport spotted something funny about the crate and stopped them and then questioned them. They were not very credible. So they opened the crate, and lo and behold, there were two men inside. One, the Israeli physician, and the man that was going to be rendition. So Britain, frustrated that rendition. And what happened? Britain broke diplomatic relations with Nigeria for 2 years. Britain arrested 17 persons in connection with this attempted rendition. They convicted 4 and sentenced them to various terms of imprisonment from 6 to 8 years. They deported many of them, including the Nigerian High Commissioner, equivalence of an ambassador. The Nigerian High Commissioner was expelled. Most of the Nigerian diplomatic personnel were expelled. The Nigerian aircraft was arrested, and the pilot was nearly arrested, but he made a lucky escape. And the world community was applauding Britain. The conscience of the world community was shocked at what Nigeria tried to do. Umaru Biko British citizen. He acquired nationality several years ago, probably just about 15 years ago, and acquired British nationality. And he had publicly on his radio broadcast renounced his Nigerian nationality. So Britain has more interest in Nnamdi Kanu than they had in the man that was nearly renditioned in 1984. But we have not seen adequate countervailing measures or outrage from the British government or the High Commission here. I know that they have tried, but my thing is that they haven't tried enough. I am the one that is in contact with the High Commissioner here, but I know they are trying to reach out to Kanu, but that's not enough. Britain needs to come down heavy, very heavy, upon Nigeria and Kenya to make inquiries, faith inquiries. Where is our citizen that entered Kenya in May 2021 and suddenly found himself in Nigeria? What happened? And if Britain finds out, discovers, confirms that Kanu was not subjected to extradition process in Kenya, but extraordinary rendition, it lies with Britain to roll out
Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, Mr. Hunka, I think the barrister have problem with his connection currently. So, yes, I think we still need more light on the issue of how Germany can come in or help in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. I think we still need some elaboration in that context. However, let me ask you something, because I remember or I heard about a certain Bûrstéd Johnson from Togo that has a similar case with the government of Togo. She is a member of the opposition. The difference, however, between Nnamdi Kanu and Bûrstéd Johnson is that Kanu is already in the prison and Bûrstéd Johnson not. So I want to ask you, sir, I mean, you moved a motion of parliamentary, protect parliamentary, something like that. Can it be extended to Nnamdi Kanu?
Well, I think the main difference between Bûrstéd Johnson and Nnamdi Kanu is that Bûrstéd Johnson, as far as I understand, she's a member of parliament in Togo. And this program, we have a program in the German parliament. It is called Parliamentarians Protect Parliamentarians. And so I can make a motion and ask for accepting a person in another country to be part of this program. And I raised this motion in the case of Bûrstéd Johnson in Togo, and it was accepted. So officially she is part of this program, which is mainly a symbolic issue.
Yes, I know it's symbolic.
But it's not, I think it's important. In some special cases, it doesn't has to be formally a parliamentarian, a comparable figure. This could be maybe Nnamdi Kanu, but I'm not sure about it. And it could be a possibility to do it, but we have to approve it if it's possible, and
okay.
because it's I think it's a more probably for the chair of the human. It's decided by the chair of the Human Rights Committee in the German Parliament. Now we are in the process of building a new Human Rights Committee, and we will have a new chair. I don't know who it will be, but I think it's we have to prove it. We have to vote to check it if it's possible.
All right. So and
Robinson, maybe one question as well for the barrister.
Yes.
What's now the process? What's going on? The trial against Mr. Kanu. What is the next? How you see the next months, or is there a central date where we have to be, which we have to be aware of? How it's going on? What do you expect in the next months?
Yes, the hearing, the last date the hearing was done, or the case came up in court was 21st October. On that day, it was adjourned to 10th November. So we expect to be in court on 10th November, but on 10th November, we don't expect any trial to occur. I had made it clear from the beginning that there's going to be trial within trial. I don't think it's appropriate for the court to jump to trial without conducting an inquiry, a judicial inquiry in the court, inside the hearing, as to how Kanu got before the court. But this was a man that was granted bail by the same court in 2017, and he got missing. He was supposed to be a ward of the court. He was supposed to be under the protection of the court. And then suddenly he's before the court. So it's proper process, proper thing to do is for the court to inquire, make an inquiry as to how Kanu got before the court. If Kanu is before the court without due process of law, then that's a challenge to jurisdiction of the court. It's a barrier to prosecuting Kanu. That is the motion that we are going to move on the 10th November, and then we see how that goes. Hello?
I'm here, all right? Okay, so yeah. Another question I would like to ask you, sir, is Mr. Honko, I'm referring to you. You have the so-called small question, if you will, or kleine Anfrage, something like that, on the Bundesparlament, on the issue of Biafra and Nnamdi Kanu by extension. I know you did something like that, or you had the intention of doing something like that, or have you done it, sir?
No, we are checking what could be a meaningful questioning of our. It's a question to the government. The problem is it's only, we can only ask what our government did. I cannot ask what is Kenya doing or what is Britain doing. I can only ask what our government did, and I'm still in the process of trying to understand what is the position of our government in this case. For example, I could question, will the German embassy in Lagos, will they observe the trial of Mr. Kanu? Will they go there? This is, or these kinds of issues. But so far, we did not proceed with a formal question to the government, but it could be that we will do it.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I mean, you have had the answers from the right source, that is Barrister Ejimako, the attorney of Nnamdi Kanu. You've had the stories, and then I think it's left for you to know if you can get to him if you need more questions. It's possible. And I would say to Mr. Ejimako, Barrister Ejimako, there is the recent news, however, is that the case which was supposed to hold on 2nd of this month was adjourned. Why?
Well, yeah, that's a case I brought an originating action before the High Court of Abia State, seeking for the enforcement of Kano's fundamental rights. It's somewhat different from the one in the federal capital, Abuja, because fundamental rights cases are considered sui generis. They are considered special status cases. Kano's fundamental rights were violated, that's my position, in 2017 when the armed forces went to his house to kill him. And his rights continue to be violated all the way to Kenya. There's an unbroken chain of causation that did not stop with the attempted extrajudicial killing in Abia State, Nigeria. It continued all the way to Kenya, where they captured him in hot pursuit and renditioned him to Nigeria. So this created new and separate grounds of action, separate from the criminal allegations that they are pursuing in Abuja against him, that compelled me to approach the High Court, where this thing started. The Python dance or the attack occurred within the territorial jurisdiction of that High Court, seeking enforcement of his fundamental rights. The government has responded, with no defense. They responded with applications for extension of time to file their defense, and these applications are pending. I opposed the applications. Normally, I wouldn't have opposed such applications, but this is a very sensitive case, and fundamental rights actions are supposed to be concluded quickly, and my client is in detention. He's been in detention for 4 months, and he's been detained by the very people that renditioned him. If I can make an analogy, Kano's detention by the state security services in Abuja, Nigeria, is akin to giving custody of a rape victim to the rapist. The people detaining him are the people that renditioned and tortured him in Kenya for 8 days. So I do not trust in the propriety of that. So I want to get to this case in Abia State as quickly as I can, because I'm not asking for bail. I'm asking for what is entitled under the law, which is to release him unconditionally and allow him safe passage to his country of usual domicile, which is the United Kingdom. So the case was supposed to be heard on 2nd November, probably on the motions of the government to file their defense out of time. It wasn't possible because the court did not sit. So for that reason, it was adjourned or postponed to 19th November. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we are almost to the end of this discussion, but before we go, I want to ask you a question personal, sir. You've been so much involved in the issue of trying to, free your client Nnamdi Kanu from the Nigerian custody. And despite this effort you have been making, there has been also situation and that came up whereby you are highly criticized, or some people say, things that doesn't actually happen. I think, I do know you're a professional, but no matter how professional we are, I still think that sometimes we're also at the mercy of our emotion. I would like to know, do you sometimes feel like you can't handle this again? Or do you tell the Biafrans that you will continue to work for Nnamdi Kanu till eternity, till you bring him out?
Well, first of all, I was trained in America and under the best traditions of ethical commitment to my clients. I am rock steady. I am committed to representing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and members of the indigenous people of Biafra, who I believe are being persecuted in Nigeria. That's my position as a lawyer. So anybody, that is putting something out there on social media or in the form of criticism, I don't consider those people to be part of my clients. I don't think any true Biafran is unhappy with what I'm doing. I don't think any true IPOB member, those in Germany, UK, anywhere in the world, the US, they're very, very happy with what I'm doing. Nnamdi Kanu is very happy with what I'm doing. I have his 100% confidence, and that's what matters to me. So anybody that tries to put out any negative vibrations out there in the public, I consider that person not to be a member of IPOB, or the person may be working against Kanu's interest, because you cannot have it both ways. You cannot use the name of Nnamdi Kanu and the name of IPOB to spew hate against his lawyers, members of his family, people closest to him, or his deputies that he left behind, to manage some affairs. So those people that might be engaged in such conduct, I consider them to be the enemy. For want of a better word, I use the word the enemy, because when you are doing something that interferes with the efforts to seek the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, or to alleviate the conditions of this predicament, then you are the enemy. You are not a member of IPOB, you are not a Biafran. You must be the enemy. So that's just the way I see it. And such things give me more strength. It means I'm doing something right. It means some people are not happy with the fact that I'm doing something right. So that makes me stronger and more committed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I thank you, sir, Mr. Hunko. We thank you very much for participating in this conference. And once again to BÜRST, thank you very much. Like you've said, like James Hadley Chess, one title I remember said, a golden fish has no place to hide. So yes, you are a golden fish. It's inevitable that people will criticize you, that people will come against you. And like you've just mentioned, you don't even know who exactly is behind this action. It could be the enemy. So anyone who is doing that is essentially an enemy. Can't just be a good one. Thank you very much, and thank you to our viewers that have been able to listen to this discussion. We would like to tell you, could be having this type of discussion every now and then. So we thank everyone who has worked so hard to make sure that this very discussion come true. Thank you very much, and wish you goodbye. Sir, Mr. Hunko, do you have a last word for us?
No, thank you very much for this interesting debate. I think we will follow up the situation of Mr. Kanu and the situation in Nigeria and Biafra, and I hope there will be a solution, not of violence.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hunko, the parliamentarian. I appreciate you, Biafrans that I represent, and IPOB. I speak on I express their appreciation.
Thank you so much for watching this video together with me. Like I said before, if it is your first time of coming across my YouTube channel and you like what I do, please subscribe, put on your notification bell, share this video, leave your comment in the comment section. You are free to criticize, but let us do it always constructively. Remain blessed. I appreciate your massive support, and I love and cherish each and every one of you. Until I meet you again in my next video, for now we say bye-bye.